In this Wings of Glory World War I podcast, we're going to explore the tactics of the Joust, followed by how to utilize this to maneuver ourselves for that second pass to be on the tail of another plane, to be in that perfect position for at least a turn or two, to be able to shoot without being shot back at. Tactically, the Joust is where I take my plane or my squadron, point it at your plane or squadron, and we go head to head. We literally joust. We fly by each other, and on that pass, we shoot at each other the best that we can. Essentially, we're trading randomness. And in that randomness, we're relying on a couple of things. Where are we? Where are we with the damage deck? Now, Wings of Glory is an interesting game in that the way damage is handled, it's not revealed, although a house rule at the end of the game, just because I have to know, right? I have to know. Your opponent's holding like 10 cards in their hand. You're like, what the heck? How is this plane even still up? I mean, the engine's smoking. The airframe is just riddled and torn with bullets and shreds and everything. How is this plane still up? At the end of the game, I want to see that hand. And then you see it's all like 0, 0 damage, 0, 0. Like every 0 in the deck is being held there. Meanwhile, like I'm holding every like 2 and 3 in special damage. But at the beginning of the game, that damage deck, whatever its rating is thick. Every possibility is in there, including the dreaded explosion. Now, I should also say on a side note, I know that the explosion card, look, it represents getting hit in the fuel tank or the ammo explodes or whatever is going to happen in the sky. I know a lot of players like to pull this card out of their deck. And I can see how if you're introducing someone new to the game, you want them to learn how to fly and kind of experience some of the rules. That might make sense. I mean, what are the odds of it happening, right? On the Joust, on the first pass, drawing that explosion card, I've had it happen. But that's okay. We'll play the game out, then we'll reset and play another. So I can see pulling it out if you're absolutely new to the game, because nothing is more disheartening than getting blown up on that first pass. But I believe it represents an important chance in the game tactically and in terms of the narrative and the theme. There's a big difference jousting someone. Wings of Glory, there's 3 types of damage, in my opinion. Not that we ever want to take damage. There's damage that you can take based on the hull rating of your plane. Then there's damage that is going to cause maneuverability issues, or it's going to take a couple of turns to clear. And then there's what I term fatal damage. This is where you're taking an engine hit or a pilot hit, or you draw that explosion card. The third classification of damage really limits your ability to execute certain maneuvers, and an astute opponent watching you is going to know after a couple of programs on your flight deck, maybe something is going on here, because they're going to kind of see those patterns on there. It's going to tactically limit your options. At the beginning of the game, that deck is full. The chances of pulling that or pulling that explosion means, okay, you want to joust? We'll risk it. I was going to say we'll roll the dice, but there's no dice in Wings of Glory. We'll see what happens. The odds of pulling something catastrophic are roughly the same for you and your opponent. Now, as you've been flying around and dogfighting for a while, a couple of turns, that deck is getting smaller and smaller, the damage deck. Whether your opponent has taken some critical damage or not, if the explosion card has not been revealed, or if you are sure based on engine damage or pilot damage observing your opponent that those have not been drawn and you're getting down to the halfway point or a little less, you really don't want to risk the Joust. So tactically, we see the Joust at the beginning or opening phases of the game. And what we're trying to do is embrace that random and hopefully draw low damage. I'm trying to encourage the randomness to my opponent. Hopefully they'll pull something catastrophic. But I'm also testing, now we kind of branch off tactically. I'm testing to see how committed are you. I'm tested to see what are your tactics. Are you going to be a little bit aggressive and take my Joust? Or as we're approaching the halfway point, are you going to break off and move somewhere else? You kind of get some insights. I mean, everyone has their player personality on there. And what's interesting about Wings of Glory compared to other wargaming systems It is 100% maneuverability on there and being able to coordinate multiple planes on there. Very, very unique. I mean, wargaming is all about terrain. There's no terrain in Wings of Glory. So really it's about that maneuverability, and you want to discover early on how that flight style is on there. The Joust is going to reveal that. Tactically, though, this is the real kind of tactica science behind the Joust. What we're looking to do, and certainly you can play Wings of Glory one plane to one plane on there. That tends to limit some of the tactical options. Most games are 2 planes versus 2 planes. Or if you're playing with multiple players, everyone controls a plane on there. You want to work as a unit. You want to have a wingman accompanying you. You want to have some sort of bodyguard, some sort of backup going in. What this means is that when you joust, if you joust on the left or the right side of the gaming table, it restricts movement. When you pass your opponent, you get an idea of where they're going to go because you can't voluntarily fly off the gaming table on there. The Joust is going to set you up in a position, especially if you have a faster plane based on the engine rotation where you can turn a little bit faster or a little bit more maneuverability on there. The tri-wings can do this. That is going to let you be in a position now to shoot the side or slip in to the back of your opponent after that joust on there. That is the real value. Early on, getting behind an opposing plane and just absolutely sticking there and doing your best to stay on the back of that plane. Is that worth the risk of randomization? Is it worth the risk of drawing that explosion card turn 1?